Welcome, everyone, to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Krysan here on Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. TK joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge today on SSD. Tell you where Walker Howard is headed. We'll talk a little Pelicans as they're in a tough stretch at the moment right now, schedule wise, trying to right the ship and get on a little positive winning streak. Also, NFL playoffs this weekend. TK, I'll give you the matchups and the lines at the moment. LSU basketball. Speaking of bad streaks, LSU basketball on a tough one right now. It's not going to get any easier. They're at home tonight against Auburn. TK will give you the latest on that. Tulane took on the number one team in the country last night at Fogelman. They were only, I think, a 3-point dog or something like that to start the game, but they lost by 20 to Houston. Bring in Tommy right now. The big news of the day: Walker Howard, of course, surprised everybody a week or so ago, leaving LSU, went into the portal. Ole Miss was one of those places that we thought he might end up at, and sure enough, the announcement became official.
Yeah, there was talk that he would go to TCU where Jack Besh went. There was talk that somebody said he didn't want to play against his former teammates, that was just Twitter BS. But obviously, you got to think Lane Kiffin said, "Hey, Walker, I'll give you a chance to compete for the starting job. I don't know the Ole Miss quarterback depth chart. People can look that up." Said, "I'm going to give you a chance to compete. I'm a guru. We're going to throw the ball. You're going to be able to run the ball. I mean, we're going to be able to do it here at Ole Miss." So he's to be in Oxford. And, of course, they play LSU every year. Who knows if he's the quarterback or not? But we'll have to see.
So you're looking at the Ole Miss depth chart as far as quarterback is concerned for 2023. They've got, let's see here, looking at it here. Obviously, Jackson Dart, the junior transfer who played a good bit last year. He's back. But everybody else on the depth chart is somebody that on paper, they've got, I think, 5 other quarterbacks on the roster at the moment. We'll see if anybody drops, changes, whatever after this pickup. But that makes 6 quarterbacks on their roster. And, of course, really Dart being the one that he would be competing with the most there to win that job. But like I've said all along with Howard, if wherever he goes, he's going to be probably worst case scenario, a backup. Whereas if he had stayed at LSU, he'd be the 3rd string quarterback. So regardless of where he goes, he's going to move up the depth chart and be one close spot closer to playing. And obviously the backup plays more than the 3rd string. And this day and age with guys getting injured, there's a likelihood if you're the backup, you're going to maybe even start some games no matter what. So, and we've seen Lane Kiffin not be afraid to play different quarterbacks or pull the trigger. So the offense over there is much more wide open. Lane Kiffin's young, hip, and cool. If you're a kid from a private school in Louisiana, going to Ole Miss is a good place to be as far as off the field is concerned. So not shocked by this decision. It does stink, though, that he will be in the same division as LSU.
Well, it's happened before. I mean, LSU's got some A&M kids. They've got some Arkansas kids.
Look at Finley went to Auburn.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he's left there now. But, that's just part of the landscape of college football as it exists now. Now, they've tightened up the transfer portal rules a little bit. It may slow this down. But, Ronnie, I read a stat. 46% of the FBS players, that's the Power 5, that go in the portal don't find a spot to go to. They either go back to where they were or boom, football's over. So that stat somebody has compiled that data now.
All right, let's talk about LSU basketball, Tommy. Tonight they take on Auburn. I don't, Bruce Pearl's team comes in ranked. What's the spread at the moment?
4.5. Auburn's laying 4.5. They're 14-3, 4-1 in league play. LSU's 1-4 with a 4-game losing streak in league play, 12-5 overall. And Matt McMahon suffered they took a butt whipping against Bama the other day. So I'm sure he went to the chalkboard, went to the drawing board, and said, "Okay, guys, this is what we got to do to change it." They just can't score the basketball. Ronnie, they shot 29% from the floor in Tuscaloosa, and 2 guys had 10 points. Nobody else had double digits. So, that's what happened there. I mean, when you don't score, you're not going to win. Now, granted, Bama's very good. Bama could be a Final Four team. They're very good. Auburn could be a Final Four team. So Tigers have got their work cut out at the PMAC tonight, no doubt.
Boy, a couple of unbelievable stories, right, developed out of the SEC, including the Alabama backup player who, was a transfer backup. He actually wasn't going to play the rest of the season due to an injury, and he ends up getting charged with capital murder. There was a 23-year-old woman that was killed late night, Saturday night, early Sunday morning, basically a bar fight type altercation type thing on the strip. And allegedly a gun was that may have, that the player, the former backup player for Alabama may have given a friend of his the gun that he used right there to shoot into a car, which struck and killed this woman. Unbelievable there. Of course, Alabama distancing themselves from that young man as quickly as they possibly can. And then on the other side, Georgia's Saturday having a national championship celebration in the stadium. Obviously, that spilled out into the night. Players and fans and everybody celebrating all in Athens. And then, probably we don't know officially yet, but 2:45 in the morning at a single car accident with high speed. Allegedly, the cause. I'm sure drinking and driving was involved, and a couple of people are killed. Other people are battling another person's battling for their life in critical condition. And one of the people killed was a backup offensive lineman who started a couple games this year, as well as another worker in the athletic department and in the football team. So, I mean, terrible news out of the SEC. All happened the same day, both of them Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah, terrible stories, and I did read where they're suspecting that high speed was involved in that one car accident. You're correct on that. So it's just terrible, and it just shows that the world is the world, and we all get wrapped up in sports, but every now and then we get reminded that life is more important.
It's just unbelievable, for Georgia, the back-to-back national championships. They're in the biggest high ever. They're having this wonderful day. I mean, this is literally the night of the celebrations of in that city for the national championship in Athens, and then something like this happens, and now it's just a dark cloud, and it takes away all the excitement and the fun that this week would have brought. And it's a terrible thing. And as a coach, when you're responsible for 100 plus players on your team and another 50, 60 staff members with all the support staff, law of averages say some things like this may happen from time to time, and I just don't know how you handle it. It's just an awful deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in them shoes. Hopefully I never am, but it's tough, especially the emotional swing there, as you point out. You're going, whoa, we're back to back, and then all of a sudden you get the phone call, or people, I'm sure everybody's phone was blowing up very early Sunday morning in both, Georgia and in Alabama about the situations. A little bit different, but both tragic.
Let's move on, talk a little bit about the NFL. First off, Monday night, and since we did the show Monday morning, want to get your reaction to Monday night. The Dallas Cowboys go and take care of business, handled it easily, was never in doubt. The Cowboys over the Bucks. Although the Cowboys were up, I think 6-0, the Bucks are down on the, throw an interception in the end zone, which could have given them the lead in the first quarter. You never know what might have happened had that transpired, but Tom Brady threw an interception. After that, it was just all Dallas the rest of the night. One, I'm glad Dallas won because I don't want Sean Payton going to Dallas. I'll say it again. Go anywhere you want, Sean. Don't go to the NFC South or go to Dallas. Two, is this, Tom Brady looked awful. A lot of that has to do with his team, playing with, a banged up offensive line, not enough weapons, no running game to speak of. Do you think this will be Tom Brady's last game as an NFL quarterback? And what do you think about the Dallas Cowboys after this victory?
Well, I went 0-3 Sunday, and I did have the Cowboys on Monday night, so I got that one right. But I think Brady plays again, but I don't think it's in Tampa. Now let's look at Monday night. Tampa Bay was an 8-9 team with a banged-up offensive line that struggled to run the football. Ronnie, if I'd have told you on Sports Shorts Daily Monday morning that Brady was going to attempt 64 passes in the game, you'd have said that means they lose. I mean, there's no way he's throwing that if they're winning. Okay, so that was obvious. And then, of course, the wild card weekend had to have another touch of wild. 4 straight missed extra points by Meyer, the kicker for the Cowboys, who they're going to go with him. He's going to be in Frisco Saturday kicking again. He's got to figure it out. It was all between his ears. It was like a slump in baseball, or a guy that couldn't make a free throw. I mean, he just got between his ears and he was fried. But the Cowboys are a good football team. You remember on Saturday morning, Sports Yards Radio, when we were out at the Barstool Sportsbook, I said, Cowboys my pick to the Super Bowl. I think the time is just right for this. But they whipped up on a bad Tampa team. Tampa was the worst team in the playoffs, even though they got Tom Brady. Now they got to go to the 49ers where they are 3.5. The Cowboys are getting 3.5 on the road. Short week for the Cowboys, if you will. But Mike McCarthy was on radio this morning saying, short week things not bothering. This is the playoffs. We'll be ready to go. We had enough time to get ready because they played Monday night. Now they play Saturday. So, no, correct. They play Sunday. But anyway, so I think Brady, to answer your question, I think Brady plays again. Sean Payton is interviewing with Carolina. That's part of your thing, like don't go to the South. He is going to interview with Carolina. They've requested permission and been given it. Ed Daniels wrote a piece at CrescentCitySports.com that Brady should sit out another year. I don't know. You know, Ed's very good at what he does. I don't know where he got that from.
Yeah, I'm done trying to figure out what Tom Brady's going to do. I mean, he clearly said, playing football again is worth sacrificing your family, because most people believe that played a role in he and Giselle getting divorced. And because she made it clear she wanted him to retire. And then when he unretired after a month, that was pretty much the end of that relationship. So he's proven that he'd rather play, that he'd rather sacrifice maybe potentially a family, a wedding, a marriage, to play football. So if you're going to go down that path and you're going to do that, and look, he's better than realistically, without if you just saw him play and his name wasn't Tom Brady, I would say he's based off of his body of work, particularly in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, I would say he's a top 20 quarterback in the NFL right now. Is that fair?
I'd put him between 15 and 20. We'd have to study them all.
So that's like you said, better than a dozen teams minimal.
Yeah. Now. So, like you said, if we could in some way remove the fact that it is Tom Brady, but no, but he's got, he's got good receivers. Goodwin's good. You got Julio Jones, who's a little long in the tooth. That tight end Brate's been with him for a while. But the over and under on rushing yardage for Fournette that night was 31 yards. He finished with 11. So, they didn't run the ball. And, again, he threw it 64 times. And I'm telling you, when it was 6-0, he threw that pick in the end zone. He was trying to throw that ball away. And the defender kind of just took a step and then jumped up and got it. But there's no doubt in my mind Brady was trying to throw that away.
So that said, Brady's still better than a lot of quarterbacks in the league, and a lot of teams have lesser quarterbacks than Tom Brady. So if he wants to play, clearly he'll have a home. Question is that, I believe he's got the fire for one more, just based off of what he sacrificed in the offseason and the fact that he fought through it this year and willed his team to the playoffs. They make no mistake about it. This was a bad 8-9 team, and they were in the playoffs because of Tom Brady.
Ronnie, okay. He's reportedly got a $375 million contract with Fox to be a TV guy. Do you say, okay, I want to go make $22 million to play football again, and Father Time's catching up with me, or do I go jump in the TV booth? I wouldn't think he needs any money. I can't imagine that he would need money, but $375 million. You don't get an offer like that too often.
That offer will still be there whenever he retires.
True.
So you can only get the juice of playing quarterback and be the guy when you're actually playing. It changes. And look, we've seen all these other quarterbacks talk about it. The Elways and the Marinos and of the world, the Peyton Mannings, the Eli's. It's different once you retire. Yeah, you can make a bunch of money and you can live a nice, comfortable life. That's not the issue. But what drove you for all those decades and all your life is gone, and that feeling you get is gone. And so that's worth a lot. Tom Brady doesn't need money. It'll always be there when he wants it to go to work for anybody. But it's if he feels healthy enough and he still craves that juice, the NFL is the only place to get it.
Yeah, I would think so. Jamie Fortenberry says Leonard Fournette's a little overrated. He's getting long in the tooth in NFL standards. No question about that. Then Jamie says TV booth, baby. So a couple comments from Jamie. Appreciate the comment from Mario earlier. Jamie's wearing out the keyboard. Does Tampa look like a well-coached team? No. Now, again, when you got a banged-up offensive line, you're going to have false starts. You're going to have things like that. But again, that was a bad team. They went 8-9, and if it wouldn't have been the fact that the Saints and Carolina and the Falcons were also very bad, they were only a little bad. I mean, you got to put that in perspective. That was clearly the worst division in the NFL. There's no argument there, and they somehow came out ahead. Mark Ingram doesn't run out of bounds, but it could be they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. Okay, so I mean, it is what it is. I guess the old saying.
Talking about Howard for a minute, who's transferred, of course, Walker Howard to Ole Miss. The story of the day. Just to give you a little more insight, Ole Miss did not have a quarterback in the 2022, 23 class. Luke Altmaier, who was the backup, has since transferred to Illinois, and Jackson Dart, who transferred from USC, was the starting quarterback this year, threw for 2,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's back, but it looks like, it looks like Howard will at minimum be the backup. But I saw Dart play a lot. He reminded me a little bit of Corral in the sense that he can run maybe better than he can throw, where obviously Howard throws better than he can run. So, I think Howard's going to go into this quarterback room at Ole Miss with a really true chance to become the starting quarterback for Ole Miss. All he's got to do is beat Jackson Dart, who's got some deficiencies.
Let me ask you this question, Ronnie, and I only saw a handful of video clips. Where do you put Walker Howard's arm? Is it average? Is it slightly above average? I don't know the answer.
I would put his arm above average.
And accuracy, obviously, is a part of it because he threw for a gazillion yards at St. Thomas More.
Yeah, no, the thing about Walker Howard is, one, he's slight, he's thin still. He still has a lot of room to get just bigger and stronger more physical. And besides that, I would say that, his arm is a very good arm. I don't know if it's elite, but it's above average for sure. And relatively accurate too, based off everything I saw a little bit in LSU and of course a lot in high school. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. It's a shame he had to leave LSU. That's just what happens these days. There's no guarantees. Guys aren't going to stick around for 3-4 years for maybe. And this is probably the best move for him, because I do believe with a spring and a summer, he's got a realistic chance of winning this job. And like I said, worst case scenario, he's going to play a lot as a backup if he's not the starter, Tommy, because like I said, Dart doesn't throw it as good as
again, I'm going to go back to what I said. I'm sure Lane Kiffin sat down and said, Walker, you're going to have a chance to be the number one guy. Okay. You're going to get that chance. And if you earn it, you're going to be the guy. And then Walker Howard, who, wants to be on the field, he now knows that, hey, I got to work my tail off every day, including spring practice, summer stuff, and then fall camp to see if he can be the number one quarterback for the Ole Miss Rebels. And as you said earlier, Ryan, Lane Kiffin's been known to sprinkle another quarterback in there for a handful of snaps, just to change up the look, put the pressure on the defense. So, it's not a bad spot for Walker Howard. I get it. Like I said, it's the college football world we live in now.
All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's Meat and Seafood.
Right, look what I got. Big old praline king cake.
Nice.
Maurice's. They use Maurice's king cakes here at Tremonti's. They got several different flavors, and you can come in and get one. The lunch special today is lasagna. Of course, they got the Chairman's Reserve meats, all the pork, the chicken, refrigerator case full of soups and side dishes. We got everything you need here. The wine wall behind me. It's Wine Wednesday. You got all kind of wine, the whiskey. If you have not stopped into Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School, stop in. You'll be amazed at everything they got and everything they can do here. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, and again, the king cake. Ronnie, years ago they started putting the baby outside the king cake so nobody would choke on it. Are you aware of that?
Crazy?
But no, what's more crazy in New Orleans now, there's no baby in the king cake, there's a bullet. You think I'm kidding, don't you? I was in Chalmette yesterday, Ronnie.
How was it?
Rocky and Carlos. That's
Ooh.
if you know, you know.
You
Roast
stopped
beef
by?
po'
You
boy.
went there? Yeah.
We had a group of us. Roast beef po' boy, baked macaroni with a side of red gravy, and a Barks. If you know, you know.
That's where old Troy Morrow, Rocco's New Orleans po' boy, started off working there as a kid.
Well, in fact, he put a comment on my post, said, bruh. I said, hey, he goes, he said, I like the veal parmesan. I said, that's what a couple other people at the table got. It's worth the ride from Baton Rouge to go get lunch at Rocky and Carlos and Chalmette, I promise you.
All right, he's Tommy Christ, and I'm Ronnie Rance. We'll be back on Friday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino. Go check out the Barstool Sportsbook and watch all the NFL games this weekend at LeBears Casino. For TK, I'm Ronnie Rance. Have a great week, everybody.
Like and share this video. Thank you.